Beggars can't be choosers. Fundraisers need not be beggars. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to unpack that today on this first day from the Fundraising School podcast. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz, joined today by Alexis Bechanan Thomas of Black Voters Matter. And I had the privilege of serving alongside Alexis in one of the Fundraising School's courses, our leadership course, which we were teaching in this most recent winter down in Fort Lauderdale. And Alexis, thanks for being with us on the Fundraising School's podcast.
Thanks for having me, Bill. Super excited to be here.
So first of all, help our audience understand the work of Black Voters Matter.
Yeah, sure. We say that Black Voters Matter is first and foremost a power building and capacity building organization. We all are about voter engagement in Black and BIPOC communities. We re-grant half our budget to grassroots organizations on the ground that are actually doing work. We call ourselves the organizers of the organizers. And so we're very excited to bring together groups that are actually already doing the work, supporting them with resources, all with, getting folks out to continue to be civically engaged.
You work in one state, you work across the United States. What is your geographic reach?
So we are a national organization. We are in 9 core states, majority of the South, of course, all the Southern states, and then Michigan and Pennsylvania. And then we actually have what we call our BVM Light program, Black Voters Matter Light program, and that's 14 additional states. So we're in every state where political power is necessary, for sure.
Which is every state in the union, and it's such important
Southern
work.
States more, actually. When you look at the composition of, who has power in Congress, most of them come from Southern states. So that's why it's so important to be in the South, too.
And that's growing with the demographic shifts to the Southern states as well. And so you are getting folks registered to vote and to use their power at the ballot box. And therefore, you need to remain nonpartisan as you're doing this work, which is where we intersected in the leadership course, where one of our main tenets is one of the most important words of the leader is no. It's easy to say yes to everybody, but then you spread yourselves too thin, you drift from your public service mission, and the leader needs to say no. And that's also important in fundraising. Again, when we're fundraising, we're not beggars. We do not need to say yes to every gift. And that's when Alexis taught all of us a wonderful lesson from her experience. Alexis, how has this word no come into play as you've been offered gifts to Black Voters Matter?
Yeah, it's something that, honestly comes up quite frequently, especially considering that we're in voter engagement organization. I would say during the 2020, presidential race, we actually had a candidate approach us that wanted to give a very substantial gift that we had to say no to because we are nonpartisan. We don't really care who people vote for. We just want people to participate in the process. We do have a C3 and a C4, which allows us to kind of have some flexibility around issues. So if we have a candidate that we know is supporting a certain issue that would better, benefit our communities, the communities that we serve, that's something we can push forward. But, we've had to say no when it came down to supporting a particular candidate. And this was a very substantial gift. And it was tough as a fundraiser, right? Because who wants to turn down a gift worth $1 million or more? But that being said, the implications that come with that, as well as also to who our base is and the communities we serve, are just more important.
And let me just say for our audience, their ears are itching like, who is this donor? Who are these donors? I'm just going to say candidly, we are honoring donor privacy and we are honoring the work of Black Voters Matter to not name names here in this particular podcast. So Alexis, with that in mind, so a donor calls, sounds like it's a substantial 6, maybe 7-figure gift. What preparation goes into this as you're fundraising? Do you have discussions internally about, we cannot accept gifts from this person or these groups of people or political parties? Help us understand the preparation that goes into your work as a fundraiser as you're leading Black Voters Matter.
Yeah, no, we definitely have to do research, just like you would do prospecting on a potential, on the front end. When someone brings you a gift on the back end, you definitely have to do prospecting on that. There was a particular time where we didn't do enough prospecting and we decided to partner with a certain vendor that some of our partners were actually organizing against. And that was, something that resulted in some backlash. So I think it's really important. We saw it definitely very much in 2020. during the racial uprising and after George Floyd, where we were approached with a lot of folks who wanted to give and contribute. However, they had troubled histories. Their intentions weren't necessarily clear. For example, we had one particular corporation that wanted to work with us on, give us a gift, and then also wanted to work with us in the long term. Well, come to find out, they're the CEO of that corporation during the racial uprising protests was actually out supporting the police and sending lunch boxes and water bottles to police who were literally harassing protesters. And so, when we got approached with the gift, we're like, okay, that's great. And then we did some more research and we're like, we don't think this is going to be a good fit. And so, yeah, I think it's just really important because I think, my father would say all money is not good money. And so I think it's very important to be very deliberate because, you don't want to look at one gift that's maybe a huge gift, but also turns off, and maybe it's a one-time gift, right? And that particular gift can turn off your entire donor base that's, committed to your cause and that, are going to be there every year supporting what you do. So.
Alexis, that's a great description of the work that you're doing. Do you have something written in advance, a policy that you follow? Do you handle these situations on a case-by-case basis? What can fundraisers learn from your experience and the wisdom that you've gained?
So we are actually in the process of creating a gift acceptance policy. And to be transparent, Black Voters Matter has grown really fast in 5 years. We're still a new organization. And so, our budget went in 1 year from 5 million to 25 million. So we've been, kind of still building out our infrastructures. But that being said, we are in the process of developing a gift acceptance policy, but we do kind of, research these things on a case by case basis. And it's because a lot of our gifts do come based on relationships that our co-founders have and people who do generally want to support the cause and support the work. But because, sometimes it can be such a hot button issue, we do have to take that extra due diligence to make sure it fits along with our mission.
Alexis, as you have this word no in your toolkit, always as a possibility in case something is contrary to the public service mission and the values of Black Voters Matter, do you need to make this decision on your own? Do you have colleagues you can turn to? Is the board engaged to help you through these situations? What does that look like at your nonprofit?
Yeah, for us, it's definitely a kind of a community effort, right? We all kind of get together and examine all the angles of it. We even bring in our communications team because they will go and scrub someone's social media to see if there's anything concerning on it before we accept or announce a gift. So it definitely is a team effort where everyone from, my department, from the communications department, from our co-founders, and even some board members are involved in deciding, what we accept in that process.
How challenging can it be to say no? So somebody comes to you with a gift and you say no, and they add another zero and you say no, and they add another zero and you say no, and they add, I got as many zeros as you have time, right? Is it tempting? Like how difficult is that?
Bill, as a fundraiser, right? And it's tough, right? Because our job is to go get funds and resources, right? And so when you get a gift, it's really tough. I was recently at AFP, right? Yeah. And so I was able to sit in a session. It was on Black men in philanthropy, and it was really, really a great session. And one gentleman got up and was telling a story about a donor who, he was just standing there chatting with him, and the donor pointed at someone and said, "Oh, that's a good-looking colored man." And so he said, but the donor had just given $1 million gift, right? And so for him, that was a teachable moment, and so I think it's very important to kind of examine all of those things and decide, that's why I think it's so important to do it on a case-by-case basis, because you may have a teachable moment, right? You may be able to talk to, that corporation or that particular donor and have them better understand your mission, and they can be more aligned with your cause. And then maybe that gift would make better sense. So I don't know. I don't think it's just as black as white I wish it was that easy to say no. But I think you have to, also, of course, keep their mission forward always. And if you stick to that, I think, you'll find your way.
Thank you for transparency and sharing that story, which also, again, demonstrates your professionalism, your thoughtfulness, that there isn't just some broad brush here, some generalization that happens, that you are looking at this at a case by case basis. And somebody might, as in the story you indicated, be very well intended. And just to be able to pull them aside and have a teachable moment during that fundraising process. The other aspect of your work is you're a nonprofit. You also have the C4, so you can legally advocate in terms of laws and policies. But as a social advocacy organization, at the fundraising school, we have a very broad definition of philanthropy. It's not just charitable giving of dollars. It's when people volunteer their time. It's when they volunteer their voice, when they volunteer a product or a service, when they help get the event organized. All these different behaviors are philanthropic. And so you're a social advocacy organization. People can help you all sorts of ways, not just with charitable giving. Where does no come in when people want to stand on the platform with you at your event, or be part of your event, or be part of your news story? Do you sometimes need to say no to well-intended people who, again, because of your particular public service mission, you need to say no? What does that look like for you as a social advocacy organization?
Yeah, I think it definitely comes into play with us often. There are some social justice warriors who are more popular than others. Some people have issues with social justice warriors. We've definitely found that, there's been some that we've aligned with, that we've, have posted pictures and shown our partnership with them, and we've gotten backlash on social media from that. Being a voting rights organization, or one that's focused on civic engagement, we definitely have had political candidates many times want to stand next to us, want to come. We have a big bus tour that we do regularly around election season, and we call it the Blackest Bus in America. And so that bus, when it comes into your town, you better get down, But that being said, we definitely have been out on our bus and had politicians run up to us and want to take pictures with us on our bus or next to our bus. So we've had to navigate those issues quite frequently, to be honest. And it's something that, we have to be delicate. We love anyone that supports us, right? But our mission is so important, and to put our 501c3 status in danger from any particular candidate or person, it's just not worth it. We have such a bigger cause and much more bigger work to do than one particular, candidate. So it's tough, but you can navigate it through. I think, again, it's just as long as you're deliberate and you do your due diligence, it can be done.
Alexis, thank you again for sharing the important work that you do at Black Voters Matter, and how you approach your fundraising and other philanthropic behavior activities from volunteers and advocates to make sure you're staying true to your mission and being effective. As we conclude here, what final advice would you have for fundraisers on the importance of saying no when necessary when fundraising?
I think it's important to look long term. I think us as fundraisers, we all get excited about a big gift, right? But I'll go back to what my dad said: all money's not good money, right? And so I think it's just, even when we're approaching that way, we're thinking about meeting our budget gaps, and we're thinking about meeting our fundraising goals. What is the longer term implications of accepting donations from certain entities or certain donors? And just make sure you have a team that can work together as a vet. Like I said, I think our communications team is really great about going through social media and identifying things that we wouldn't normally catch. And so I think just having that whole, your whole staff and that whole team effort of making sure that we're still getting resources that fit, with our mission, or align great, with us is really important. So all money's not good money. Sometimes you do have to say no.
The importance of saying no, with Alexis Bechanan Thomas of Black Voters Matter. And at the fundraising school, we take great pride in our curriculum being research-based, evidence-based, but we also know that we're teaching adults. We build in time, not just for questions, but for small group table conversations, for large group conversations, because our participants are coming with lived experience, and we can learn from each other while we also learn from the curriculum. And Alexis, you are a wonderful example of that at that course in Fort Lauderdale, and now today in this podcast. We're so grateful for you sharing your wisdom with us here at the fundraising school. We have 22 public courses. They lead up to 4 different certificates. We can take different parts of different courses and knit them together into custom training just for you, just for your nonprofit, your association, your region, in person, online, in the United States, anywhere across the world. We also have quarterly webinars, these free podcasts, and also our textbook, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising, where the research is translated into practice, effective fundraising practice, over 39 different chapters. All of this information available on our website at philanthropy.iupui.edu/the fundraising school. I'm so grateful to our guest, Alexis Bechanan Thomas, our producers today, Mike Anthony and Jennifer Boffman. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz, and now you are now more fully informed on this first day from the fundraising school.